into consideration, and I hope that just cause and relocation costs will be there for the next tenant who does nothing wrong, so they aren't forced out into the street by police.
Black shape and the wind it was blown from his proud blackened lips, and I with my bellows cast clouds through the sky, so that his awful flames in my moisten and dark.
Hi, I am Danielle Anderson. I am a single mother of 2 special needs children. I am here to talk about the source of income discrimination protection and how it's important to find a good home for families. In or about 2010 through 2014, I was able to get a rapid release voucher from SNAP. I quickly applied for 50 places or more within 2 weeks period, but it was becoming clear to me I was getting rejected simply from discrimination. Now, I want to make something clear here. The reason she was able to get 50 to apply to 50 or more places was there is some form of a general application already, but it has to be accepted by landlords. What we want is a universal one that all landlords, just a standardized application. Some of the landlords fought this because they were like, well, some people allow cats and some people don't. And we were telling them what they had to do with the information. All it is the application. You get the information. It doesn't mean you have to rent to somebody just because they put in a fucking application. So I don't know if landlords are completely stupid or if they are ignorant or what it is. But how do you say this dumb shit with a straight face? You really believe that? You're the ones with money and power and you're fucking dumb. So, I know some of you are good Christian folks out there and everything, but I apologize for my language, but I'm not going to censor myself because I think a certain amount of dignified rage is appropriate. Okay, so she said she was rejected simply from discrimination. Of letting the management companies know upfront I had a voucher. Okay. One manager even told me to my face they refused to rent to me because I would be a problem tenant and trash the unit like others have in the past. So at that point, you begin to lose all hope. Also, it became hard to come up with the asking deposits. I'd like to see landlords get a good relationship from tenants like I've gained from my landlord, because protections don't harm good landlords. It actually can educate all landlords. Also, I think a good solution would be to 1. Educate landlords, 2. Place a cap on how high deposits can be, like maybe no higher than monthly rent amount. Also, universal background checks can help with identifying the preferable tenants and landlords that landlords are looking for. I'm Isabel Call, and I want to talk about... Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm Isabel Call, and I want to talk about the cost of moving to a new home. I moved here last summer with my partner. As you can see, I have a mobility impairment, so I need a place without many stairs. There's a note here. It says, we also have a dog. Something. So it says we also have a dog. It took us 5 weeks to find a place for more than 30% of our income, and so we were among the 51% of renters in Spokane who are cost burden. Before moving in, my partner and I each paid a $50 background check. Our something were 2. I don't know. We had $150 administrative fee, the first month's rent, and the first month's rent, and our deposit is almost twice our rent. Thankfully, we've been able to pay incrementally, but it was still over $2,000 to move in. I'd like to advocate for incremental payments for deposits because it was essential for us, but it's likely that our landlord offered this as a courtesy only because it would be virtually impossible for any tenant to come up with such a large amount all at once. So I'd also like to advocate for a policy that puts reasonable cap on how much deposits can be charged and a unified background check so we don't have to do one for each application. We like our house and they neglect basic repairs and some other things. But I'm concerned we won't get our deposit back because there's a lot of wear and tear already and our landlord is really disorganized. This seems to be a common problem. Like landlords just aren't very good business owners a lot of times, and so they're scattered. They're all over the place. I've heard of landlords misplacing rent checks and that sort of thing. So that can be a real big problem for somebody that pays their rent. Now, I can tell you right from my own experience when I was in Seattle, I have one eviction. One bill I've always managed to pay is my rent. I had a roommate move out on me unexpectedly, and I had to cover the full rent. Now, I was in the process of starting a business at that time over in Seattle, and I wasn't making any money for a while. And so I kept up with notifications and paid what I could and said, I promise, like money's going to come in. It came a lot later than I expected it to. And I ended up putting in a notice, moved out, and then went back, left my check. It wasn't a check. It was a money order. And that's really a big problem. Like, you don't pay with money orders without getting a receipt. So I paid with a money order, and they had me just slip the money orders through the slot. So I slipped the money order through the slot with the key, and I was done. Washing my hands clean of the place. Sorry things didn't work out. Moved in with my dad while I was still waiting for my income to catch back up. And in that process, they evicted me but didn't tell me about it. So they also charged me for new carpets, new blinds, screens that were never even in the apartment. Like, they think I just stole the fucking screens out of the windows. And I didn't find any of this out for like another year and a half when I moved to Wenatchee and I was trying to get a place and literally could not find a place. I had to stay on people's couches, sublease from people without being on the lease, so at any time they could kick me out. The landlord could find out I was there, and the people who let me stay could get kicked out. So it was a real nightmare, and it's something that tenants go through a lot. So I'd like to advocate for incremental payment for deposits because it was essential for us. But it's likely that I already read that part. She said, we like our house. I read that part too. She's got a lot here. My main goal is to cap deposits, encourage or require landlords to accept deposits in increments, and something tenants get their deposits back if they haven't caused damage. Ensure that tenants get their deposits back if they haven't caused damage. If we make it so it's affordable to move, then tenants have more freedom to find the kind of housing they need. This gives landlords incentives to treat existing tenants well so they want to stay. The tenants I've met in preparing for this meeting are kind, good people. I want them to all have safe, dependable places to live and to feel that they have rights when they are talking to their landlords. I'm sure landlords want the same for themselves and their families. The many good ideas being shared today are just basic standards of how we should treat our neighbors. So the next one will be mine. So I lied to you all. It's not going to be mine. The next one is from Peggy Newvine. Says, good evening. Thank you for hearing us and for listening. I am fairly new to Spokane, found employment and moved here a couple of years ago, but I was drawn here even before that. And I have to say, I love it. I am proud and happy to live and vote in Spokane. But nothing is perfect, and neither is this place. I am horrified at the things many landlords get away with here, in the way of dangerous and insanitary conditions that they refuse to remedy and for which tenants face retaliation in the form of eviction or rent increases if they speak up. It is reasonable for tenants to fear retaliation, even if that feeling is not justified by the actions of the current landlord. Most tenants have had landlords who created that fear in their actions, and so the tenants failed to speak up, and your properties deteriorate as a result, and that drives down the value of all other properties in the area. To remedy this situation, I propose a two-part solution which would apply to any single-family or multifamily rental but exclude those who rent only a room in their home. First, we need a landlord registry, and every landlord should be required to obtain a business license. A nearby city that has this requirement is Airway Heights. There are others on the other side of the state that do so as well. Second, we need a program of property inspection so that every property is inspected every 5 to 10 years with or without notice. Preferably no notice to the landlord, but reasonable notice to the tenant. Some cities that do this are, again, Airway Heights and also Pasco and Tri-Cities cities on the coast. This program will have many benefits. First of all, to tenants, we get to live in better properties, but there are also benefits to the landlords. With the registry, it will be easy to inform all landlords when there are changes in the law. This program will protect our property values because all properties will be in better condition. It will protect the landlord's reputation both individually and for landlords as a general category. And finally, it will ease the relationship with tenants, particularly in situations where an individual is the owner, because it will introduce a little distance into the relationship so that it does not feel like a personal attack when a tenant asks for repairs or when there is a rent increase. I'd like to close with some analogies. If you make money by serving food, you get inspected by the health department. If you make money selling alcohol or tobacco, you get random anonymous audits to make sure you're not selling to minors. If you make money by fixing brakes on cars, you have to buy a business license so that you can be held accountable for the quality of your work. The same principle should apply to landlords as well. If you make money by providing something so fundamental as a roof over people's heads, you should be licensed and you should be held accountable, and you should pay fees to support the programs that ensure accountability. Thank you.
As in light, nights and nothing, as in days out of bed, and so days in my ears and days all around, proving death to the landlord and all he abounds. And the night she shot through until all it was down. I've been hoisted, forgiven for all in the crowd. I was glad in the light that crept twixt new and old, and unpolished with holes, so tender, so bold.
Now, this will be the last one. It's mine. I want to say first that, the people that we have involved with the tenants union and the new tenant association that I think, I've ran the name by a few people, and I think we might end up going with Tenant Action Committee. But the people involved are some of the most kind and loving